Weekdays from 4 to 5:30 p.m. for the real action.
In the Kano State, they tried it. What happened? Even in Edo State, they tried it. Not what happened. What I would say is, Mr. President is full of strategy.
You want to rubbish one of the governors? He does not believe that he must lose any battle. And you choose your fights now.
On your favorite dial, Mainland 98.3 FM, The Situation Room. Issues, personalities, and perspectives. We are always watching.
Nothing for Nigeria, if shock me again, no. Politics for Nigeria, nothing surprise me again.
Imagine a country where our children have good schools, where hospitals are well equipped, and where every community enjoys clean water and good roads. That future is possible, but only if we use our votes wisely.
Sadly, some people are ready to exchange their votes for money, food, or empty promises, and some politicians are ready to buy them. But ask yourself, after the money is spent, after the food is gone, what remains? 5, maybe 10 years of suffering under bad leadership.
Is your child's education worth just a small gift? Is your community's progress worth only a bag of rice or a few naira? No, it is worth much more.
When you keep your votes, when you cast it freely and wisely, you protect your dignity, your rights, and your future. Leaders who buy votes cannot serve the people faithfully, but leaders chosen by honest votes are accountable to you, the people.
Let us stand together. Let us reject vote buying and selling. Let us prove that our future cannot be bought. Your vote is your power, your right, and your responsibility. Use it wisely. This message is brought to you by Mainland 98.3 FM.
When they win your vote, just to win your vote, your vote. Politicians will tell you what you want to hear. Just the way your vote.
What leadership? I have shown leadership. I have said, look, you cannot do this. If you do this,
A very good evening to you. Welcome to the Situation Room live on Mainland 98.3 FM. It's a Monday edition, the first edition of the show for the week. Yes, today is the 30th day of the month of March 2026, and I trust your weekend was good. It's a very busy weekend, no doubt about that. From the National Convention of the Ruling All Progressive Congress to the convention of, what used to be Africa's biggest political party. And after the 2015 election, what used to be Nigeria's biggest opposition party, the PDP, held its convention yesterday at the Velodrome in Abuja. We have sound bites from the FCT minister and the national leader of the Labour Party, talking about Barrister Nyesom Wike. Wow. We'll talk about all of those. But yesterday evening, while we were, getting ready for the very busy week, especially with the resignation of the leader of the Kwankwasia movement, Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso from the NNPP, to join Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi, who came second and third respectively in the last presidential election in the coalition, the AADC. So now we have second, third, and fourth in the last election, now in the same political party. Are there going to be consensus? Are there going to be alliances? Are there going to be reconciliation? Whatever it is, I will look into all of that on the show today as well. The Ondo State Chapter Chairman of the People's Democratic Party would also be my guest on the show today to discuss the aftermath of the National Convention of the PDP yesterday in Abuja. Then, the media aide to the local government chairman for Igbogbo Bayeku local government in Ikorodu would also join me on the show. He was in Abuja for the APC convention. I would have a conversation around it. Is that one of the most organized convention we've had in a very long time? And on the issue of consensus, how does this affect internal democracy? We'll talk about all of this on the show today. But before we say all of those, there was an unfortunate incident that happened at Tina Junction at Angwarokuba, just north local government area of Plateau State yesterday night. It's quite unfortunate, but the numbers of casualties keep rising. As at about an hour ago when I checked, it was reported about 28 people have died as a result of that unfortunate killing yesterday night. Well, my guest joins me on the show today all the way from Jos, specifically the location where the issue happened yesterday. Well, it's a space that I'm unfortunately familiar with. In August 2021, at the Yᴏᴜᴛᴜ village, very close to the University of Jos, there was an attack on a village that led to the massacre of about 42 people. And on that fateful day, the people of the village went to the Plateau State Specialist Hospital, retrieved all the dead bodies, and they carried them in trucks all the way down to the Little Rayfield new government house, where they presented those corpses to the governor. Then, as Right Honorable Simon Bakola Long, now he's a senator, but unfortunately, yesterday, it looks like it's a scar that was reopened again. My guest joins me on the show today briefly to give us what exactly is happening. Well, the state government had released a statement signed by the Honorable Commissioner for Information, and the governor had declared a curfew, an absolute curfew, within the Angwarokuba community. So for context, Angwarokuba is one of the biggest communities in Jos, apart from maybe Tunuwada and a few other communities. Angwarokuba is very, very densely student populated because it's very close to the University of Jos. So it's a very popular place. And that Tina Junction is like the commercial hub of the Angwarokuba community, where there are bars, there are churches, there are little mini markets somewhere around that axis. It's a place that I know very, very. In fact, that was the community I stayed when I was running my postgraduate at the University of Jos. LD, good to have you join us on the show today. It's quite unfortunate that you're making your debut on the show after this unimaginable situation that happened yesterday. Good to have you join us live in the Situation Room on Mila 98.3 FM.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here.
Well, let's just get straight up into the conversation. Yesterday, we started seeing the report in numbers: 6 people, 12 people, 18 people, 24 people, 28 people, 31 people. The numbers keep rising by the minutes. What exactly went down yesterday at Tina Junction?
Okay, you may have heard of the legendary drive-by shootings, right? I mean, if you watch gangster movies, those old gangster movies, or even the street gangs in Los Angeles in the 1990s.
That was what played out yesterday.
Yes, basically they rolled through the neighborhood and opened fire on anyone who was unfortunate enough to be within their sights. They just shot at sight at people at random, and it was a completely surprise. Well, I would say on one hand it was a surprise attack, but on the other hand, it wasn't completely a surprise. Now, let me tell you why. In the past 3 weeks, there have been videos in circulation made by some Muslim youths who had promised that after Ramadan, they were going to attack Christians in Jos. They didn't even hide their faces. They said this explicitly. And quite frankly, these people should have been picked up, because right now their threats have come true. And what happened was, you're a bit familiar with Plateau, so you know Barking Laddie, right?
Very well.
Okay, good. It's on the way to the airport. So it's not even close to that place. So several weeks ago, there was an incident in one of the villages around Barking Laddie where like 5 Fulani people were killed, right? Now, the Biron people there are even saying that it wasn't them who did it, that it was the Fulanis who killed their own person. Now, these are just allegations. This is what was going on back and forth. The Biron people denied them and said, no, the Fulani killed their own people. But the bottom line is 5 Fulani people were killed around Barking Laddie near the airport. So they started making threats promising that after Ramadan, they were going to take their pound of flesh. And now it had happened. Now, the baffling part is that these guys didn't even hide their faces. They made videos. Those videos are still in circulation. Now, tell me, why is it that the security services did not immediately spring into action and, apart from arresting these people, just make sure that they were on ground to prevent this kind of thing from happening? Because quite frankly, it could have been prevented. That's what I think.
Okay, it's quite unfortunate. I know Barikin Ladi, I know Haipan, I know Riom. Those are extremely sensitive communities where there are always reports of attacks on farmers, on settlers, on herders, even students of Plateau State University sometimes.
Let me come in here. You know where that place is? It's way out of town. So you can imagine an incident that happened over here. It's just like, for the sake of your Lagos listeners, imagine if something happens in a place like
Ikoyi, then the retaliation came up with someone around Ikeja.
Exactly.
That's the distance.
Or even worse, because Ikeja is in town. Somewhere on the outskirts of town, maybe somewhere like Agbara, for instance. Or Okokomaiko, maybe those areas after it. Or, all those areas like on the way to Badagry, for instance, out of town, a village, not even within Lagos city limits, because that place is not within the city limits. And then you come all the way to a place where you feel people who practice that faith live, because you feel it was Christians who killed your people. And then you come and kill innocent people in a completely different area. This is like 2 local governments away. That is what happened. People need to stop allowing themselves to be used for this evil, because we know that there's a group of people behind all these things, and these things are well orchestrated. There are sponsors behind them, even though our government denies it. They've been given the names of these sponsors. They have done nothing about it. But we as Nigerians need to wake up and stop allowing ourselves to be used for such evil. That's the bottom line.
I mean, it feels like it's a wound that is being reopened. I was, a couple of years back, while I was on the plateau, something like this happened around the village behind the University of Jos. That's Zangam Yaloa village. And I know how all of this played out. Mr. Dombim, what is the state of things right now? I know Governor Caleb Manasseh Mufwang was at Angwara earlier today, and there's been heavy criticism about the governor coming in an armored personnel vehicle, and then he couldn't come down. He was telling the people to calm down. The people were angry. I mean, what is the situation of things right now?
Well, as expected, the situation is pretty tense. You would expect that. But then all over the city, the military and security forces are out, and they're basically trying to prevent a situation where there's escalation, which is good on one hand. But then a lot of people are even more angry about that, because they feel that when one side attacks, what usually happens is, after they attack, then before the other side can retaliate, they come and they block them and they prevent the attackers. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
That is how the average person feels. He feels they feel like the authorities usually take sides with one side over the other, because when they attack, they come out and they quickly prevent them from retaliating. So it's a mixed grill, if you will.
The governor declared a curfew, and it looks like it's a circle. Declare curfew, relax the curfew after a week, relax it absolutely after 2 weeks, with a promise to bring the perpetrators to justice, and after then everybody moves on, and then the circle continues like that. If you said that some of these people made videos and they threatened to come and carry out this attack, and the video was everywhere, how do you place this in terms of the promise of the governor to always protect the people, I remember, I had the session with the Commissioner for Information, the then Commissioner for Information, that's Honorable Musa Ashom. He's now the Commissioner for Youth and Sports. And he talked about, they've revived Operation Rainbow, and the governor is providing operational vehicles for them. Where do you place the security architecture of Plateau State under the governor, under Governor Kele Manasseh Mofwang? And do you think justice could ever be gotten in this situation again?
Well, that's an interesting question. You see, I've always said that, you always hear that the governor is the chief security officer of the state. But the way Nigeria operates from a very centralized standpoint, I really don't think that that's the reality. Because in reality, the governor cannot tell the army or the police or any of the big guns what to do. They don't take orders from him. They take orders from Abuja. So at the very best, the governor can equip them, but he can't tell them how to use the equipment. You understand where I'm driving at?
Yes.
So at the very best, he's a protocol officer. That's the truth. That's the reality of it. And the same goes for every governor, which is why this conversation are being had about state police. Hopefully, the state police will be a group that they'll be able to arm and command, and they'll be able to spring into action without having to liaise with Abuja, or even sometimes you see governors going to Abuja to beg, in frustration because of what is happening in their states. As for justice, well, it's always been lopsided in this country. Conversations really need to be had around that. There's always been injustice, and this is probably just another case. And as far as there's no justice, there'll be no peace. That's just the bottom line. So in order for there to be peace, there has to be justice. And so far, there's no justice.
Okay. The curfew now, are the people, responding to the curfew? Because I saw the videos of people protesting earlier today. I saw the way the people also came out with the governor. Are the people, abiding with the decision of the governor to impose a curfew? And do you think things would calm down?
Well, for now, I can't really say if things will eventually calm down, but the danger here is people might resort to silent attacks here and there. That is the danger. Now, earlier today, crowds came out in defiance of the curfew, but across the city, because Jos North is not just one place, as you know, it covers, quite a wide area. So in many areas, even people who went out for morning exercise were turned back and made to stay in their homes. And then it doesn't extend to the whole of Jos. There's no curfew in Jos South, for instance, or Jos East. Now, the place where I am right on the border between Jos North and Jos South. If I walk probably 100 meters from my residence, I'll be in Jos South. So if I head in that direction, I can actually go out and turn in the other direction from Secretariat Junction. You know where that is?
Exactly.
I'm somewhere near the Federal Secretariat.
Okay.
Right on the border between Tudunwada and GRA.
Okay.
I live in the last line of houses in the GRA area. Right behind us is Tudunwada, which, as you will know, is another hotbed where something could happen. That's another unfortunate thing. You see, when these things happen, they don't happen in the GRA, in the Rayfield, in the more affluent areas. It's all in the places where the lesser privileged, if that's an appropriate term, where the lower classes live. That is where these things usually happen.
Eddie,
which shows that it's well orchestrated.
Let me put it out here. There's been conflicting, reports in respect to what really went down, and I'm glad you gave us, a backstory of what, or probably how these eventually started. A lot of people have said, oh, it's a reprisal attack, it's court related, it's Fulani attack, it's herdsmen, it's banditry, it's this, it's that. Can you specifically tell us, the line of the major issue, and if you can, tell us who are the people responsible for this?
I would have to be Sherlock Holmes to be able to do that, wouldn't I? Mm-hmm. From where I stand, I can only tell you what I know. Like I said, there was an incident in Barkin-Ladi where Fulani people were killed, and shortly after that, videos started circulating of Muslim youths threatening to strike after Ramadan, and this has now happened. So if you put those pieces together, what would you conclude? Now, there's a chance that it might be a coincidence, but I don't really think that's a hell of a coincidence, don't you think? So it doesn't look, it's not likely to be a coincidence. So yes, it does have to do with that set of people. At the end of the day, it points in that direction. I can't really put a finger on it as I stand, but with this information, I mean, it's a no-brainer, really. It points firmly in that direction.
Okay, I mean, as someone that I've seen a lot of these over time, and do you think the people trust the government to do justice to this? Because, I mean, I was lucky to see the tail end of the administration of our former governor, Jonah Jang. Then I saw the entire administration of the immediate past governor, that's now Senator Simon Bakula Long. And, it looks like, once these things happen, whether it's in Riom, in Barkin-Ladi, in Haipan, in Jos North, anywhere, there's always a simple line, we bring the perpetrators to book. And then it goes on like that, from Dong Village to every corner. Do you think the people still trust the government to be able to provide adequate security for them? And what do you make of the governor arriving in Barkin-Ladi today in an armored personnel vehicle?
Well, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. Nobody trusts the government going by the antecedents that led us from where we were to where we are now. In the past 2 decades or so, these attacks have been ongoing. The worst crisis ever, as you may know, was in 2001, funnily in September, same time as the New York attacks. I think several days apart from that, and since then it's been ongoing. Now it started in the city center. There were bombings, there were attacks, and then it actually took a backseat for a while. There hasn't been this kind of attack, I would say, in the past 16 years now, quite honestly. Most of it has been in the rural areas, which at the end of the day is still bad, because what they did was the theater just moved elsewhere. But then it's still pretty much a clear and present danger. And, a lot of people have this notion that, look, it's far away, it can't happen over here. Anybody who thinks so has their head in the clouds, quite honestly. Because this is how it starts, inch by inch. I think years ago, there was nothing happening in the South, was there? It was mostly the Middle Belt and the northern areas. But now it's going down south, isn't it? Now, some years from now, I mean, Kwara is just a step and a hop and a step from Lagos, isn't it? And they've used Kwara. So a little bit further down the line, who knows? They probably even have cells already in Lagos, from what I'm hearing. So nobody is safe, nowhere is safe, and quite frankly, it's everybody's business. That's just the truth.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Loknan Dombim. I want to once again, on behalf of every one of us on Mainland FM, extend a heartfelt, condolence to the families of the affected victims. It's quite unfortunate that the principal responsibility of every government is to see to the safety and welfare of the people. And over again, the government fails in that responsibility. There are also reports that about 18 people were killed at a wedding in Kaduna over the weekend as well. It's just being left and right while the parties are headlong into elections, the PDP with convention, the APC with the convention, the ADC welcoming the campees into them. It looks like the citizens are left at their own mercies. Well, we'll continue to hope for the best. Thank you very much. And I also want to appeal to you to stay safe out there, especially with this curfew, so that we don't run into trouble. Thank you very much for being my guest on the show today, Mr. Dombem.
All right. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Stay safe out there.
PDP! Power to the people! Power to the youth! Power to the women! Power to Nigeria! Your Excellencies, our dear leaders, our founding fathers, the former governors who have shown today that they are really true leaders of this party. The chairman and members of the caretaker committee of our great party, the distinguished senators led by Senate Minority Leader Senator Abamoro, the Minority Leader of the House of Representatives led by Honorable Kingsley Ogunduchinda.
Good evening.
All our state chairmen, the zonal vice chairman, all our delegates.
Thank you very much for joining us on the show today. And of course, I have the Ondo State Chapter Chairman of the People's Democratic Party joining us on the show today. And of course, that is to get aftermath and update on the PDP National Convention. I started the soundbites you were listening to right now. That was the voice of the former presidential aspirant on the platform of the PDP, the two-time governor of Rivers State, and now the FCT minister. Well, he says he's the national leader of the PDP. Talking about Barrister Nyesom at the convention ground at the Velodrome yesterday. Well, we saw maybe the highs and the mighties left within the People's Democratic Party, even though some of the leaders of the other faction, the likes of Seyi Makinde, the governor of Oyo State, the former governor of Oyo State, His Excellency Arakpaja, the factional chairman Turakia, saying all of them were absent at the convention yesterday. But the FCT minister that led the convention came out to say that the PDP is regaining its old glory. And for everyone that had left the party with the mandate of the party, they should return the mandate of the party. Honorable Barrister Dupe Aishida joins me on the show today. He's the Ondo State chairman of the People's Democratic Party. Good to have you join us on the show today. And thank you very much for finding time to be with us.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, Nigerian.
So
I'm glad to be here.
It's a long process. It's a process we can spend the entire day going over. How the PDP lost in 2015, how the party had failed to hold on to its place as the opposition, and how the party couldn't get the house together in 2019, the defection of the governors from Bayelsa to Osun, from Taraba to Plateau, from Rivers to Delta. It's been a mass exodus from the National Assembly, both the red and the green chambers, the senators, the reps, they've all moved out of the PDP. And that was a party that used to be the largest political party on the continent of Africa based on the size of our democracy. The party that boasted that it was going to rule the country for 66 years. But how do you place where the PDP is at the moment? There are factions, and most of the governors that have left the PDP had come out to say that, listen, we have to leave because we don't know who is going to sign our next nomination form. We don't want to win election and then the court to tell us that, oh, the faction that conducted your election is not the right faction. Where exactly is the PDP after the convention yesterday in Abuja?
Let us thank God for the fact that in this country we still have
There is this popular saying in Yoruba that a society without law is a lawless society and cannot thrive. Now, with the way things are now, everyone is looking up to the judiciary to make a definite pronouncement on this matter. And when I said earlier that everyone is looking up at the judiciary, I'm referring to the Supreme Court. Now, let me break it down. Let me just quickly break it down. Just a few minutes. November 1st, 2025, the working committee members of PDP, 14 of them, suspended the so-called new national secretary of the Kangaroo Convention, Anyanwụ, suspended the Lanesik, Ajibade, suspended Bature, the so-called organizing secretary now, and suspended, I think, this other fourth person, I can't remember his name now. Now, in retaliation, Anyanwụ and his group, they suspended other members of the working committee. Then, few days later, I'm talking of November 2025.
Yes.
Few days later, Anyanwụ appointed Anyanwụ and his group appointed Oᴜᴜᴜ as the chairman, and they appointed one other fellow as the secretary of the board of trustees. The same November, Anyanwụ and his group appointed the so-called new chairman of PDP now, Abdulrahman, as the acting national chairman of PDP, because according to them, they've already suspended Damagun, the then chairman. Now, let me fast forward. You know, the judgment that was delivered about 3 weeks ago, they twisted it and twisted the narratives in a way that they think will favor them. That, oh, the court gave it to them. The court did not give anything to anybody. The court stated that Omotosho's court, that's the Federal Court Abuja, said that we should do something before going for the December 15th convention in Ibadan, and we should have done that. So the court upheld the decision of that Federal Court. But more importantly, the court also stated that the suspension of Ajibade, the then legal advisor, and by extension, Anyanwụ, Bature, and the other man, that suspension was valid in the eyes of the law because the party could discipline any of its members, and the national committee, by suspending the legal advisor, then he could not carry out or do anything on behalf of the party or even act as a member of the party as far as the suspension succeeds. The implication of that one is the selection of Oᴜᴜᴜ was null and void as the chairman of board of trustees in November by Anyanwụ and Co. The selection of Abdulrahman as acting chairman, are you with me now?
I'm with you.
Was null and void. Also, the so-called this thing, caretaker committee, dead on arrival. What happened? December 9, they assembled themselves in one living room and proclaimed Abdulrahman as the caretaker committee chairman, with Anyanwụ declaring himself as the secretary of the caretaker committee.
Meanwhile,
but the PDP are
suspended.
Yes, and he refused. They refused to appear before the National Disciplinary Committee to put themselves of all those things that the party accused them of doing. They refused to. Anyway, let's fast forward. December 9, their tenure expired, and they assembled themselves. This Abdulrahman, Oᴜᴜᴜ, the legal board of trustees chairman, all of them, they assembled themselves in one living room and declared that they appointed Abdulrahman as the chairman of a caretaker committee, and then this Anyanwụ as the secretary. But we have a constitution. The constitution of our party says unequivocally that it is only the chairman that can summon a meeting of the working committee or the NEC. And as at December 9, Damagu was still the chairman of PDP. So who summoned the party where they appointed the so-called caretaker committee? Who were the working committee members at that meeting that sanctioned the so-called working committee? So in the eyes of the law, the working committee, you cannot play something or nothing. According to Lord Denny, it will not stand. So the caretaker will not stand. Now, if you can recall, early 2025, this same Anyanwụ was expelled by the National Disciplinary Committee. And what did he do? He wrote to court. But this January, I think January 13, I can't be too sure of the date now. This same Anyanwụ, the court affirmed that the suspension was right, that the expulsion was right, and it could be expelled. Now, let's fast forward. What are they holding on to? They said one federal high court in Ibadan said the caretaker committee will continue to act on behalf of the party. Now, we took this matter, we appealed. We took it to the Court of Appeal, Ibadan. And the Court of Appeal, Ibadan, the justices, they advised that both parties should go back and reconcile and come back to them to report that we should not take any steps to jeopardize the peace process. Now, after the judgment was delivered, the Court of Appeal judgment, I can't remember the exact date, 3 weeks ago, the parties, the Turaki and the other members of the working committee, we already fixed the meeting for Tuesday, Board of Trustees, Wednesday, and Thursday for next. They postponed everything. They said now that the Court of Appeal Ibadan advised that we should meet. And both parties, we pretended, we granted interviews. Oh, that okay, we should reconcile, we should not go to court. Based on that one, the Turaki and all of them, they put everything on note. But what did they do? They started dissolving state executive committees. Yeah, and they were having congresses all over the place. They were doing everything to jeopardize the peace process, the reconciliation effort. Despite that, we kept faith. We didn't do anything funny. But by Monday, we realized that you could not trust these people. That they were pretending that, okay, let us see what we could do. Meanwhile, they were playing for time so that they could do this Kangaroo convention on Sunday, which they are now calling. Meanwhile, INEC, we have to beg Professor Amupiton. Posterity will judge everyone. Now we are afraid the way INEC is carrying on. INEC, they are not behaving like an impartial arbiter. Now they are behaving, they have descended into the arena, and we are all appalled that this could be happening under Professor Amupiton. This time will come and it will go, but whatever you do today will be there for history to judge you. I won't say more than that.
A lot has been said in the process of not saying more than that. The convention yesterday, just a few hours ago, INEC on its website had ratified the leadership of the PDP and had recognized the faction.
That's why I mentioned INEC. Now, let me explain one funny thing that happened. Let me use Ondo State as an example. September 13th, we had our world congresses all over the 203 wards. All the 18 local governments, they have INEC people there. They monitored and they wrote their report and they collected all the documents. On September 17th, we did local government congresses. Their local government representatives too, they came, they got all the documents and they wrote their reports. Now, on September 27th, we did our state congress. INEC came there with their delegation They wrote their reports and they submitted. Now, suddenly, when these people came with the idea of their convention, one Jagudu also woke up one day and we saw that letter on the internet purportedly disturbing the executive committee of Ondo State. Of course, I addressed a press conference and I told them that they are a bunch of jokers. I think they went back to the drawing room and maybe made up their mind that, look, it might not be easy replacing these people with a caretaker committee. Now, Anya will now send a letter to INEC that they should conduct World Congress on 16th, local government Congress on 17th, and state Congress on 18th. Everything fell flat. They couldn't do it. Suddenly, last week, they said they had a Congress. I kept asking this question, and I will keep asking. I said, can you have a university degree without primary and secondary school education?
Exactly.
Now, you didn't do World Congress, you didn't do and the Constitution. No, nothing. And we have the provision in our Constitution, the people that must attend say Congress. But you know the irony of it. INEC came. I'm not against INEC coming, but the job of INEC, this way that they are behaving like headmasters. No! You are there to monitor and write your report. Are you with me now? And write your report. Okay, we monitor this Congress. These are our observations. Are you with me now?
I'm with you.
This Congress, does it meet the tenets of the constitution of their party? Did they follow the rules and all the stuff? If you collect the so-called the book of delegates, really laughable. You know, they just put some funny names there. Without anything, they change the name of some local government council areas names. You know, those the PDP council chairman. They put some French names there. And we're calling that charade a Congress. The truth of the matter is we're waiting. Nigerians are waiting. We want to see how far they will carry on with this shenanigans. But we know at the end of the day, the court of public opinion is already speaking. And we know what is going on. The whole world knows what is going on. The only thing is we are advising INEC to stress off it. You know, suddenly they refuse to take the name of Oᴜᴜᴜ. The court compelled them. The same court will compel them to do the right thing. They can't send the same to a court of law. You are expected to supervise, to monitor, to ensure that everybody plays this game according to the rules. But now you have descended into the arena. You are practically doing every other thing. Suddenly,
the rule says.
Suddenly you extended the registration of party members to March 3rd, but you didn't extend the time for primary. Which kind of game is that? Professor Amupito, if any of your people can hear me, please, you have this your reputation over the years. Already, even before election, your image, they have started to destroy it. They have started to cast shadows on all the things INEC people are doing. Nobody will hear this and we trust INEC. And when there is no trust, then whatever you are doing will come to nothing. And God will not allow that to happen. You should not descend into the arena. It's not your fault. You have a lot to do. And part of your job is not to start, twisting the law, start interpreting the law to fit what you feel you want to do for a faction. It is not acceptable.
Thank you very much. The convention was held yesterday. Political observers had said it's peaceful. INEC had also recognized the outcome of the election, the ESCOs and all of that. Is this the start of resolution? Because if you look at what we said we focus on today, we talked about reconciliation, we talked about alliance. Is this the start of same for the PDP?
You can reconcile without exercising good faith. When you reconcile in a way that is a bit fraudulent, that is not reconciliation. Even without telling anybody. Look at what they're doing. And I will beg you men and women of the fourth estate of the realm, take your time. Get the list of the next members of the party. visit all the states. Ask yourself, how many states were there yesterday? The Constitution says for you to have national convention, okay, 2/3 must be there. They did all those kangaroo congresses to circumvent the provisions of our Constitution. But at the end of the day, everything didn't go according to their plan. Talking about being peaceful, maybe for us, we are different from them. Had it been, they were on the other side, they might probably bring in thoughts and all the stuff to disrupt the activities in Abuja yesterday. Why wouldn't it be peaceful? Because in the real sense of the word, the party members are just looking. We are watching, and we know at the end of the day, something must happen. The only thing is we are begging and we're waiting for the Supreme Court to make definite, Supreme Court is like, I don't know, after God is the Supreme Court. So whatever they pronounce. And meanwhile, we took the matter of that federal court Ibadan to the Court of Appeal Ibadan. And those justices appeal to us that we should try to reconcile that it's a family affair, and we should not take any step that will jeopardize the peace process. And look at what they did. So we are even begging, and we want the Court of Appeal to deliver their judgment on that so-called federal court judgment they are relying on. I'm a lawyer for crying out, something that was not pleaded, something that was not part of all the processes fight. The presiding judge just jumped over and made that part of of our judgment. So for us, we know the game that is going on. Nigerians can't pretend that they don't know. We all know. It's part of see, when we talk about democracy, you need a vibrant, barrier opposition for democracy to thrive. Everybody knows that. But Wike and his cause, they are not even hiding it. Wike is telling us he's supporting Tinubu, and he's not just supporting Tinubu, he doesn't want us to have a presidential candidate. Is it not unbelievable that this could be happening? They are introducing a new thing into the political, what's the right word to use in Nigeria now? Why am I saying that? Before now, you can easily defect to another party if you were not too satisfied with the party you were. But right now, we can just introduce a new one into our political system. So you can be in a party, be doing an anti-party, be working against your party, and be saying it openly. Anyway, some of the people with them, after 2015, Saraki left PDP. What's his name? Lamido worked against PDP. So how could you trust people like that? And McCarthy, God bless him, he too passed through some of these things, and we all stood behind him and fought Ali Moduchari to a standstill. And from those states, that was the period we were preparing for our gubernatorial election. We put everything into it to make sure that Ali Moduchari did not take that thing from him. And now it's on the side of people raping the party, destroying the party, telling the party will not feed the presidential candidate. If you don't feed the presidential candidate, so how do you want your senatorial candidates and senatorial candidates and those for the House of Reps, your candidates for the Senate and your candidates for that? How do they want to campaign for an election taking place simultaneously that same day? So it's like, and again, what they did in Abuja, we give you a glimpse of what they are planning to do. They forced a PDP candidate to step down for an APC candidate in Buhari.
Sure.
So you will know these are the things they are planning to do. And that's what they are doing all over the states. Or, they have the state power. They believe they have the state power, the judiciary behind them, and of course, unrestricted access to funds. So they feel there's nothing they can't do. But when I look at them, I laugh. We've seen something worse before, and we know how it ended. We see how this one will end. But one thing I can assure you, this party will thrive. This party will present candidates, and we are not leaving this party to any funny national leader. PDP, that's what they call it. It's a party of the people. It's not a monarchical party. That Baba Sope will be there controlling everybody. That's not PDP. That's what I'm a foundation member of PDP, and I was the legal advisor from 2001 to 2008.
For the Southwest?
So I know what I'm... Yes, for the Southwest. So I know what I'm talking about. Yes.
I mean, I've always said it. It's a credit you need to give the PDP. It's been a standalone party. From 1999, we've had the AC, we've had CPC, we've had ANPP, we've had AD, we've had ACM, we've had APC. But the PDP, in a way, I've always had, found a way to sort their internal problems. But it looks like this one is really deep. And I'm hoping that your party, the People's Democratic Party, would be able to, put a house together, not because I'm interested in the party, but because I'm interested in the sustenance of our democracy. And I know that a very active opposition would help our democracy to get better. Not the one we have, where we have about 32 state governors belonging to the same political party. I wish you well. Honorable Dukpe Aishida, thank you so much for spending time with us on the show today. I will definitely keep in touch with you. When there are new updates, I will definitely reach out to you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, and have a beautiful evening. Okay. That was the Ondo State Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Honorable Barrister Dukpe Aishida. He was the Southwest Zonal Legal Advisor for the People's Democratic Party for 8 years before he became the state chapter chairman. And it's taking us down memory lane how the entire problem in the PDP started to where it is today. But after the convention yesterday, the INEC had recognized the faction that emerged yesterday, and there's been an update on INEC's website recognizing the leadership of the Wike-led faction. But the other faction of Tᴜᴜ had said that they would challenge the outcome of that. Remember, the other faction had a convention in Ibadan in November 2025, and the court nullified the convention and declared it null and void. So they are also saying they would challenge the outcome of yesterday's convention and take it as far as the Supreme Court. That the Supreme Court is the only court that can decide which of the faction is authentic. Well, the faction led by the FCT minister, the national leader of the party, had said that they would send the election committee to conduct the primaries in Oyo State. Talking about calling bluff, yeah? Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I will switch over to the All Progressive Congress as Mr. Ikwesonolubenga, the media aide to the LCDA chairman of Igbogbo local council development there in Ikorodu, would join me. He was in Abuja for the APC convention, and I will look at the issues, the consensus conversation around the All Progressive Congress, from the wards to the zone to the state and to the national convention, endorsing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the sole candidate of the party for the 2027 election. Is this not killing internal democracy? We'll find out all of this and more after this short break. You're live from Mainland 98.3 FM, and this is the Situation Room.
What leadership? I have shown leadership. I have said, look, you cannot do this. If you do this, you pay for it.
Does it get better or worse? Are the actors ready or not? Are citizens onlookers or bastions of accountability? The questions pile up each day, 1,001. But hey, in the Situation Room, we are not carried away. We only ask the crucial questions and stick it in, because the journey to El Dorado won't pardon missteps.
Based on the law, if you earn any income, you have to pay tax on it.
Join Oᴜᴜᴜ in the Situation Room, Mondays to Thursdays from 4 to 5:30 p.m. for the real action.
In the Kano State, they cried it, what happened? Even in Edo State, they cried it, not what happened. What I would say is Mr. President is full of strategy.
You want to rubbish one of the governors? He does not believe that he must lose any battle. And you choose your fight now.
On your favorite dial, Mainland 98.3 FM, The Situation Room. Issues, personalities, and perspectives. We are always watching.
Nothing for Nigeria, fi shock me again, no. Politics for Nigeria, no fi surprise me again.
Thank you very much for staying with us. You're live in the Situation Room on Mainland 98.3 FM. We've had two guests already on the show today. The first was Mr. Lokman Dombim. He's the youth leader of Angwarukuba community. He joined me all the way from Jos, the community where the unfortunate, killing happened yesterday night. Of course, it took us down memory lane, how the problem started, how the fact that the suspects were said to have, sent a video to the community that they were going to attack. And according to what he said, the security agencies did not act. And yesterday, almost like when you refresh a story, you are getting new update. Each time we check, and they tell you that, oh, someone else is up. Oh, this person had died. Oh, the number had gone from 6 to 12 to 18 to 28 to 31. And we're hoping that calm and normalcy will be restored in the community. The state government had declared a curfew at the governor. His Excellency Governor Sɪᴛᴜᴛᴇʀ was in the community earlier today, and then he assured the people that the perpetrators of this evil act will be brought to justice. Sometimes when they say it will be brought to book, I'm wondering, is it that the book doesn't get filled, or it's just that the government is not doing anything to make sure that these things does not repeat itself? So we also moved away from there. We spoke to the Ondo State chapter chairman of the People's Democratic Party to take his reaction to the Congress that was the National Convention rather that was held in Abuja yesterday, and he said it's a kangaroo Congress, that INEC would have to play an umpire role and not, descend into the arena and play the game that politicians are playing. He says that the faction of the FCT minister does not have the constitutional backing, especially the party's constitution, to conduct a convention. Well, it looks like it's a story that will still unveil or unfold in other chapters. We keep our fingers crossed. Next, joining me now is the media aide to the executive chairman of Igbogbo Bayeku Local Council Development Area of Ikorodu. That's Comrade Ikwesa Henry Olugbenga. He was in Abuja for the APC convention, and I said, why not? Let's have a conversation around it. The PDP had his own, and then, a lot of people had said it's quite peaceful, as a lot of people expected it, but I followed the APC convention. I think this is about the second convention I was going to miss in so many years. It's always very interesting when you are at the arena and then you see how this politics is being played firsthand. Mr. Ɡᴏsᴜns, good to have you join us on the show. You're also making your debut on the show. Welcome to the Situation Room.
Thank you for having me. This is also, I would say, a very good time to be on Mainland FM. It's an opportunity to say things as they are, and I'm surely very grateful for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Okay, it's a different feeling. You are the 8th National Convention of the All Progressive Congress at the Eagle Square in Abuja on that very interesting evening. When I say interesting, I mean interesting because it was a moment that was filled with different colors, glitz and glamour, different states representing their leaders, also raising and hailing and chanting the names of their leaders across board. So it was very interesting, especially the speech of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Talk to us about the atmosphere at the Eagle Square. What was it like for you? And was that the first time you were attending the APC or any party's convention?
Yeah, personally, this is a first time for me to attend the APC convention, but as a person, I've actually been following most of the conventions done by all political parties in Nigeria, which is something I believe any political conscious person is supposed to, should do, so as to be aware of what is going on, how it's being done, the anomalies, what to correct, what to be better at doing. On a personal note for me, this convention, this 8th National Convention of the All Progressive Congress was one that I never expected it to play out the way it did, going by the antecedents of other conventions in the country, or the ones that we've known other political parties to be doing. I can offer a direct account that over 8,000 delegates were present at this remarkable energy, absence of rancor. It was just like the theme, because the theme of the convention was a unity in progress, consolidating the renewed hope agenda. It goes to show that it wasn't just a slogan; it defined the mood at the Eagle Square, and it was a wonderful experience.
Okay, the APC now controls about 32 of the 36 states, and of course the FCT. And when the president came up on the podium, I have his speech. I'll play it before the end of the show. What was the feeling like, especially when the issue of consensus was raised? We followed the world congresses, the zonal congresses, the state congresses. A lot of the state ESCOs and zonal ESCOs were returned. Like the Southwest zonal chairman now, Barrister Kekemeke from Ondo State was returned. Although the Southwest youth leader was changed, a new person came up on board, a 32-year-old young lawyer. But at the national convention, there were issues around, what would happen to the national secretary? What would happen to Professor Nentawe Yitwada, the national chairman, and ultimately the president? When the conversation around the consensus were raised at the convention ground, what was the feeling like?
I believe the All Progressive Congress came to the convention as a united front, because it was really evident that the political party was talking about, the All Progressive Congress, happens to be a party that is prepared. From my personal experience and what I saw at the convention, it was more like a family party. It wasn't like a rivals trying to make rancors, or from what we have been used to seeing by other political parties. I don't think I've actually seen anyone go to court since after the convention, or probably have some major walkouts. There was practically no walkouts. At the Lagos Pavilion where I was, the unity was so immense that it was really fun to see that the governor, Mr. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the speaker, his deputy, the speaker, other notable leaders, the GAC members were at the pavilion, and it was so much fun that the consensus issue was something we expected to.
Oh, okay. Let's see if we are lucky. We can reconnect with Mr. Henry Ikwesa. We were just looking at the outcome of the APC convention that was held over the weekend. We saw the PDP convention. The state chapter chairman of the PDP joined us on the show, just to look at some of these issues. And we decided to also reach out to another person that was also at the convention, which is also happened to be the media aide to the local government chairperson, and that's Comrade Ikwesa Olugbenga Henry. And so let's try and see if we can reconnect with him before I start picking your calls. 0913-600-0410 will be the number to join us with when it's time for us to start picking the calls. Our community question is back. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry for the interest. I think the network was kind of messing.
I understand.
So, talking about the consensus, the convention adopted an approach for the National Working Committee elections, and the outcome was seamless. Professor Netsanwe Yitwada was retained as the national chairman. Senator Ajibola Basiru was returned as the secretary, and broader leadership returned by acclamation. This was the product. What I think, this is the result of extensive behind-the-scenes negotiations. It was designed, to avert what we are seeing in the PDP or probably in the ADC, rancor here and there, the winner takes all thing. Some commentators actually said, it was more like an anti-democratic style, but I think the critique deserves a direct response, which I think is that if APC has its own electoral path, which expressly permits the consensus method, more importantly, I think the party's foundational tradition has been one of inclusion. Bringing everyone rather than producing winners and losers, and here and there, that after the old election we'll now have court cases here and there. I think the consensus was a thing that has really worked for the Progressive Congress, and it is really commendable.
Okay. So just like you raised now, you talked about concerns in respect to how undemocratic consensus should or sometimes always appear like. I know that the Electoral Act 2026, as amended by President and signed by the President, made it clear that there are no indirect modes of primaries anymore. So no delegates, no selected or privileged few. So it's either it's a direct or it's a consensus. But the concerns a lot of people have raised is that issues of consensus could kill internal democracy. Do you believe that, or you think it's an absolute politics at play, Mr. Kwesa?
Sorry, can you rephrase that question?
I said a lot of people have raised concerns as regards the aftermath of a consensus as a means of conducting primaries. A lot of people have felt like it kills internal democracy, that is almost an indirect way of telling other people that have ambitions to bury their ambitions, that this is the candidate. Don't you think consensus in a way, because if we've done it for the president, maybe when it's time for the primaries, for the governors, for the senators and all of that, don't you think this is an indirect way of killing internal democracies within the party?
I don't think that kills internal democracy. It is worth clarifying that that is like a common misconception. Consensus at the national working level, at the world level, LGA level, is more of something I think is a democratic process, and though not a substitute for one, though. From world congresses, every delegate usually do have a voice in the build-up to whatever decision is being made, by the party, even before the conventions or before anything is being done. And the party's position has been consistent, which is competition is welcomed, but chaos is not.
Hold on. Competition is welcomed, but chaos is not.
Yes.
Okay.
From the matter of inclusion, the new National Working Committee, actually saw 3 women appointed to its ranks. Among them, we have Mary Alili and Bumi Ajayi, or if I'm not mistaken. That's actually reflecting the deliberate policy of broadening representation, within the party's leadership structure. So I don't think the consensus thing is what as some people will say is killing democracy. I don't think that is factual.
Okay, before we let you go, the NDC is cooking like the streets slangs would always use. Earlier today, the NNPP presidential candidate in the 2023 election, the leader of the Kwankwasia movement, Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, officially decamped to the African Democratic Congress. In fact, about 31 minutes ago, he made a tweet on his official X page, and he says, "We are ADC." And you need to see the response and the the traffic on that particular tweet. That means the candidate that came second, third, and fourth in the last presidential election in 2023 are now under one umbrella. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar of the PDP, Mr. Peter Gregory Obi of the Labour Party, and Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso of the NNPP. Three of them having 6.8, 6.1, and 2.1 million votes are now on the same political party. And they said the only thing they are pushing out for is to get the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu out of office in 2027. Are you confident that the APC have done enough to secure the trust of Nigerians for a return for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, since he's now the sole candidate of the party going into the January 2027 election?
That is a very, very, very big question, which I think it will be insincere of me to tell you right here, right now, that 100%, I'm 100% saying that the road to winning the election for the All Progressive Congress is going to be easy, or that the party will win by landslide and all. Realistically speaking, the party is putting a whole lot of things in the right perspective, which I believe is going to work to make sure the party wins the election at the end of the day. One of the major, which I think is one of the key things that usually disturbs a party's process and whatever it is that they have going on prior to elections, is most usually the conventions. And seeing the unity that the All Progressive Congress is marching to the election ground with, and with what the gains of what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has achieved over time, which I believe the second term will just be like a consolidation, or let's say one trying to put the right things in place to just make sure that Nigeria gets what it truly deserves. I believe the APC will not have it as easy as some would say. By the end of the day, I believe the All Progressive Congress will win the 2027 election, and Nigerians will be happy for it.
Let's conclude this way. The moment you left Abuja after the convention, was it the same feeling you took there that you left the convention ground with? And what were your observations? Let's call it a day on the show from that perspective.
Okay, I left Abuja more persuaded than when I arrived, because I saw firsthand that the renewed hope agenda wasn't just a campaign phrase, gathering dust, that that people will just say from the lips and nothing to really show for it. The grassroots happened to be energized. The energy was intact. The structures, were there for everyone to see, and the party is looking and is pointing at 2027 with clarity of purpose. Whatever one's political affiliation is, the convention, if anyone attended the convention, it actually offered an honest demonstration of what organized, united political leadership can look like. Leaving Abuja, while on the flight back to Lagos, was just crossing my mind. I'm like, this is actually not what I envisaged, but I was actually happy because it brought clarity to a lot of doubts I have in my mind moving forward about the elections and how the party structure and figures and leaders are actually moving together for united Nigeria, united political party. So just make sure everyone is fine.
Thank you very much, my brother and friend, Mr. Tᴡɪᴛᴛᴇʀ M<silence> the media aide to the executive chairman of Iɗ̀vùᴜ̀báyékù. I hope I pronounced that well. LCDA in Ikorodu. Thank you very much for sharing your experience with the APC convention in Abuja. It was a very busy weekend at the APC convention, the PDP convention, the burial of the former governor of Kaduna State. So there were definitely heavy activities around the FCT. Well, I think that signals the arrival of a proper election period, especially as political parties would have to go into their primaries from April, May, June, consolidation, consultation, campaigns, and everything will run in full-fledged. Thank you very much, Mr. Tᴡɪᴛᴛᴇʀ, and I wish your party, the APC, well going forward.
Thank you so much, Pᴜᴜᴜ.
Thank you
guys for having me.
And enjoy the rest of your evening. All right. Interesting conversation we've had on the show today. The social media is buzzing, and I'm just trying to keep it, a track of what is going on right now. From Senator Dino Melaye to Atiku Abubakar to Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, everyone have been making posts and tweets. ADC is Kano. Kano is ADC. Coming from Senator Dino Melaye. We are ADC. That is the headline tweet from Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, the new Nigerian People's Party presidential candidate in 2023. And like I said, the candidates that came second, third, and fourth in the last presidential election, all of them are now under the same umbrella, the African Democratic Congress. Is this what a proper coalition looks like? Is this what a proper opposition should feel like? And do you think there's enough time for the coalition to realign and put every structure in place ahead of the January 2027 election? Time, they say, will tell. But let's keep our fingers crossed. More updates would come tomorrow on the show. It's going to be really extensive. The National Publicity Secretary of the new Nigerian People's Party would join me on the show by 4 tomorrow. To break down where the party is right now. It looks like the soul of the party is gone. The governor of Kano State, the only NNPP governor, are proud to, when he decamped to the APC, has left for the APC. And now, the new Nigerian People's Party, the leader of the party, Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, had also gone to the ADC. And the crowd that received, that official decamping today in Kano is quite unprecedented. I mean, you look at the structure, you look at the balance, you look at the people that were in Kano earlier today to receive Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso into the fold of the coalition. Does that change anything? Does that bring any difference to the political dynamics of 2027 election? Let me have your take on those. 0913-600-0410. Hello, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
You're welcome to the show, Mr. Kangbelina.
I greet you. So, you can see the kind of confidence that man has when he's telling us that with what he saw at the convention, and he's not even thinking of how the masses are, grappling with their own policies. So I think what the man is just talking, he's talking like an APC person. So, but for me, what I saw from that this thing is that they just went there to, it was a jamboree. Nothing will change. They would have sat back to tell us that these are the things we are not doing well. This is what we are. But I watched the whole of that. They were just praising the president. The president is this. The president is that. So how will it change when you people cannot tell him the truth? That Nigerians are not happy with your government. They would have told him there in that place, and nothing will happen. But they were there praising him. The whole thing was about praising the president. I've not seen a convention like that. I'm telling you, I've not seen a president. And if they start doing this APC around one person, I don't know when that man goes out of there. Even the cap. Do you know that cap now it has taken the place of the APC logo. Everybody is wearing cap as logo now.
Thank you.
When that man gets out from there, what will happen? Will they still use that cap or what?
Thank you very much, Mr. Kangbelina. Well, another breaking news. Two of the 3 serving senators from Kaduna State have officially decamped to the African Democratic Congress. Interesting times. Hello, good evening.
Oᴜᴜᴜ, I greet you.
Good to have you join us on the show today.
How was your weekend?
Good. And yours?
We bless God for everything. Oᴜᴜᴜ, I follow you in the morning. Yes. But your conclusion, which I did not support. You praise Wike so much. Your conclusion, I did not support it. Oᴜᴜᴜ, adìẹ dà mí lóògùn, ó ní gbogbo ẹ̀rí ẹ̀ ló máa fọ́ tán. But if one survive, he become for avenge. Ẹ̀yin mélòó ni Wike fẹ́ dànù? All the money Wike is spending Oᴜᴜᴜ is from his own personal pocket. The answer is no. Some people give Wike a lift to the top. Now, from Jonathan to the last phase, how many people do you want to call Wike to order to allow PDP to rest? Everybody left and right, Wike just stick to his gun. You know, I really thank you for the first person that spoke the PDP chairman, the chairman of the PDP from your own state, Gongon. Oᴜᴜᴜ, Nigeria are watching on. Peradventure, the court allow Wike to go with this jamboree. Nobody will vote PDP. The only option Nigeria have that. Let's see what will happen in ADC. Peradventure, Atiku take the ticket. Who is this? Atiku must be wise this time around. The lesson of PDP should teach him a lesson. If he just go with Radio Kwankwaso, Tinubu will just go on a free drive.
Thank you very much. Well, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the PDP presidential candidate in 2019 and 2023, had also just tweeted on his verified X handle, and he posted a picture of Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso with the new membership card of the ADC, and it says, "When men of conviction come together, power trembles. Welcome aboard." With the hashtag AA, signed Atiku Abubakar, welcoming Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso to the ADC. Interesting days ahead. Hello, good evening.
Okay, good evening. My name is Robert. I am calling you from Apapa. Hello.
Hello, I'm with you. I'm with you. Go on.
Okay, thank you very much. The capping of Kwankwaso to the ADC is a welcome development. At least everybody cannot be a member of the APC. That is not democracy. As we speak now, we have about 30-something governors. The capping to it. Not that the party is so good, but I know it's because of the money. You understand? That's why they are decapping. They know the truth that Nigerians are suffering under this APC. You understand? But they should decamp. I think the next election will be between the APC and Nigerians, not the governors. You understand? Jonathan even had more than yet he lost the election. What I want to say, the Wike, is it not funny that the Wike that was suspended though, this man was suspended from the real PDP, and he now formed his own faction, and he did a conversion. Even INEC recognized him. What a country! And they say they want to take Wike to court. If you take to court, do you think we will win Wike that is building houses for judges? Nigeria is a very funny country.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Roberts. We're getting close to the end of the show. What Wike and his co-travelers did yesterday was just a get-together party of branch of APC to celebrate APC convention. It is a continuation of Wike's destruction of the PDP. That's John Benadui from Ijaniking. Friday from Mowe says, my question is this: why is the Wike faction? Why can't they disband PDP? I think Mr. President and the INEC are trying to make use of PDP to step up. What's the good thing about the APC convention, and what are they still going to be using as their upcoming campaign? I think Nigerian politicians are not ashamed of themselves. Okay, Chief Udo is texting and he says, good evening, Oᴜᴜᴜ, to you and our guests. You said you missed Saturday's APC convention and the razzmatazz and the excitement that happened. Like you forgot you may have gotten your own share of the tear gas. Well, as for the convention, I saw it as a gathering of liars and propagandists. Another thing I want to add, now that the APC and PDP have had their convention without any interference, Obi won't see Agbero coming to attack the people when the ADC wants to do their own convention. Chief Udo, thank you very much for the question. Good evening to you. Your second guest asked one question. He said, can you have a degree without first of all having primary and secondary school certificate? I would answer that question. And if you are trying doubting, you can ask Mr. President and so many APC members. With Nigeria today, all things are possible. That is James from Agbado. Good evening to you. The PDP convention was that Wike presided over. You call that a convention? Wike, a man that is working for APC's re-election in 2027 election. Is PDP serious at all? Let's watch and see. That is Benjamin from Shogunle. Thank you very much. Festus from Ikorodu says, good evening to you. Thank you for all the guests you brought today. The unfortunate killing that happened in Jos yesterday is a reflection of how bad the country had become. It is a cycle of wash, rinse, and spread. Nothing would happen, and no suspect will be apprehended. The people have lost hope in the government, and the only thing we can turn to now is God. Thank you, Festus, from Ikorodu. Let's talk to the next call. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Is that Mr. Alaba?
Hello?
Hello, is that Mr. Alaba?
Yes, good evening. Good evening.
Please be quick about this.
Yeah, very quickly. Well, congratulations to Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. This is what a lot of people are waiting for. But mark my word, President Bola Tinubu will win this election, even with not just an ordinary number, with wide number. Good evening and God bless Nigeria.
Okay, that is quite instructive. It looks like it's a done deal, but we need to leave the show. I would have to continue this conversation tomorrow. But hey, it's a big one. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso joined the African Democratic Congress. I remember I had a conversation with Malam Bolaji Abdullahi, the National Publicity Secretary of the ADC, right in this studio, right on this show. And he says before the next election, Nigerians will be shocked at how many politicians will be on the party. And a few weeks prior to that, I also had a conversation with Honorable George Ashiru, the Lagos State Chapter Chairman of the ADC, and I was very sure that the party would do enough to attract the big wigs into their fold. Now we have the three candidates that came second, third, and fourth in the last presidential election: Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, and Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. All of them on the same political party. We keep our fingers crossed. My name is Oᴜᴜᴜ Akere. Thank you so much, Comrade Lukman Dobim, for joining me from Angwarukuba in Jos. He's a youth leader from the community where the unfortunate killing happened yesterday. And I also had Honorable Barrister Dupe Aishida, the PDP state chairman for Ondo State, also joining me on the show. And lastly, I have the media aide to the executive chairman of Igbogbo Bayeku LCDA in Ikorodu, Comrade Ikwesa, also are talking to us about the APC convention in Abuja over the weekend. Wow. INEC had officially recognized the leadership that came off the convention of the PDP yesterday. Time will tell. Keep our fingers crossed. I'm talking about keeping things crossed. Keep your dial locked on Mainland 98.3 FM. Next up is Mainland FM Global News, and by 6 I would still come back to take you through the world of sport on Sports Cruise. Keep it out here and stay safe, and remember, the task of rebuilding this country begins with you and I. Let's stay safe.